Hello, welcome to the ENCOM Wireless Safe2School presentation. During this presentation, we will talk about the components that make up the Safe2School system, as well as how they integrate together. Finally, we will go into detail as to how to program each one of your components, and finally complete your Safe2School system. There are three components that make up the ENCOM Safe2School system. The first one is the WBCU unit, which is going to reside in each of your remote locations out in the field. The second component is going to be your WEBIO unit. This is going to be the master radio, which will communicate to each WBCU unit for your particular system here. The final component will be the Zonewatch software, which links the WEBIO and each WBCU zones together, such that you can have multiple zones from your traffic management center across your network. In order to program the hardware of the ENCOM Safe2School system, you will need the Control Pack software. It is recommended to visit www.encomwireless.com and download the latest version of Control Pack. Once you have Control Pack installed on your computer, it is then recommended to program your WBCU units first, followed by your WEBIO units second, and finally we would be setting up the Zonewatch software to interact with your WEBIO and WBCU system. We will now proceed on with programming of our WBCU units. From the Control Pack software, select Contact Closure and then go to Compact I08. Now by default, you will have to leave the baud rate, data, parity, and stop bits as is. The only thing that you would have to change on there is the COM port that you're using on your computer, and finally hit the connect button to log in here. From the general setup page, there's only three parameters that you need to change and be aware of. The first one is the unit address, which is going to be the address of your remote. Again, this unit address is going to have to be unique for each remote in your system. The second thing is our primary hop pattern. The primary hop pattern is going to be the frequency pattern in which wireless communication occurs. This particular parameter has to match across the entire network. The third parameter is our network address. Again, just as our primary hop pattern, the network address does have to match across our entire network and is used to group particular WEBIOs and WBCUs into a particular zone. I'll complete the programming of my WBCU unit by making my remote the first remote with a network address of 6 and a primary hop pattern of 39. In order to complete the programming, hit the Program Radio button. Verify that your radio configuration has been successfully downloaded, and then disconnect from the software. This concludes the programming of your WBCU unit. The second step would be programming our WEBIO units to be linked up to our WBCU units. From the Control Pack main menu, go to Ethernet and then All Ethernet. You'll be taken to the real-time network scan list where you'll see your WEBIO in the list. Right now, our WEBIO is defaulted to a 192 address, which does not match our computer address here. We will assign it an address that is within the range of our computer here. Once you see your WebIO appear on your real-time network scan list again, you know that the programming has been completed. You can now access the radio in order to complete its configuration. Highlight the ENCOM zone server and then hit the Configure button. By default, the username and password to log in is admin. Hit OK. You'll be logged into the WebIO unit where you'll be taken to the basic settings page. The first thing that we will have to change is our default name to a user-defined radio name. The second parameter that we will have to change is our network address. Again, just like our WBCU, it does have to match across our network here. The second parameter that we have to change is our hop pattern. Just like our WBCUs, it does have to match across our system here. From our example, we will be using 39. The last step would be checking your IP setup and to either use a DHCP or a static IP address. For this particular example, we'll be sticking to a static IP address. We can now go on to the System tab. The System tab is used to add in the WBCUs that are going to be communicating to this particular WebIO. Now, I have pre-programmed 2 WBCU units, so that I will add them to our list here. Hit the Add button, give a name and description for each WBCU you are adding here, and then hit the Apply button. Each entry will be displayed under the description list. Once you've completed adding in your WBCUs to this particular WebIO, you can now proceed on to the Calendar tab. The Calendar tab has 2 main sections, the real-time clock setup and the schedule setup. The real-time clock setup allows you to either update your WebIO time from the PC or to use a network time server. For this particular example, we're going to be using a network time server. The second step is to view the schedule setup. There has to be a check mark in the Enable Scheduler. If there is not, please place a check mark now. This is all that is needed to be done on the Calendar tab. We can now proceed to the Local I/O tab. For this particular example, we do not need to do anything on the Local I/O. The Local I/O is going to be used in instances where you want to have a button that is directly connected to the WebIO and local to it. For this example, since we're going to be coming from our central software, we don't need to have a button. We can proceed on to the Security tab. The Security tab allows us to change our default username and password. Again, for this particular example, we will just stick with our default admin. You can review your settings by going back across the tabs, and once you have verified that everything is acceptable, hit the Program Unit button to download the configuration to your WebIO. Once you see your radio appear on the real-time network scan list again, you know that your programming has been complete. The next step would be to log into the particular web page of this WebIO unit and view that we do have a wireless connection between it and its 2 WBCU units. Highlight the WebIO from the real-time network scan list, right-click on your mouse, and hit View Radio Web Page. By default, our username and password is admin. The current status page gives us an indication as to what's happening on our wireless network here. As you can see, the name column is represented by our user-defined names here for our remotes. The description tells us what radios we have in our list here. The third column, being our status, indicates whether the beacons are currently on or off. In this case, they are currently off. The COM status indicates whether or not we have a good wireless connection to our WBCU units. In this case, our COM statuses are okay. You can log out from the web page at this point in time, as we have verified that we do have a wireless link to our two WBCU units. This completes the programming of our WEBIO unit, and we can now proceed on to setting up our Zonewatch software. The final step in setting up your ENCOM Safe2School system will be to set up your Zonewatch software. Zonewatch has been installed onto your computer when you had installed the Control Pack software. In order to access the Zonewatch software, go to your Start button, select All Programs, locate your ENCOM folder, locate the Control Pack subfolder, followed by the Zonewatch icon. In order to log in to the Zonewatch software, by default our username and password is admin. When you're in the Zonewatch software, the first step is to create our schedule. Select Schedule and then Create New Schedule. You'll be taken to the Schedule Input Wizard. From here you can enter in a user-defined name you would like for your schedule here. In order to add in entries into your schedule, press the Add button. The comment field is going to be used to describe what event you're going to place into the schedule. For example, we will be adding in a morning schedule. This morning schedule will run on a weekly basis from Monday to Friday from 7 until 8 a.m. Hit the Apply button to add this event into your schedule. We will add in 2 more events to the calendar and then save the file here. The second event that I will be adding will be an afternoon schedule, which will go from 12 until 1:30. This also will be a weekly event which runs from Monday to Friday. The final event that I will be adding we will call Holiday Example. For our holiday, select Special Occasion and then click on Holiday. This will gray out the start and stop times. Select the date in which the holiday occurs. For this example, we will set January 17th as our holiday. Hit the Apply button to add this final event into the wizard. Once we have completed adding our events into the wizard, hit the Save to File button. We will save this as a test schedule. This can be edited and used later on. Hit the Done button to proceed on. You will now be taken to the schedule editor of your newly created schedule. From here you're able to review your schedule. As you can see from our calendar, the red days indicate that we are on Schedule A with these particular events running for that day. We will just jump to January, and on the 17th you can see that it has been grayed out. The gray indicates that it is an off day, which does confirm our holiday event. Once you have finished reviewing your schedule, hit the Save Schedule button and save your schedule to your computer. This schedule will be downloaded to your WEBIO system. Hit the Close button to proceed on. The next step will be to add the WEBIO into the Zonewatch software. Go to Settings, select your system. We will leave our file list as default.ess. The file list is what houses all our information for our particular zones. In order to add our WEBIO to the Zonewatch software, hit New Zone, select WEBIO from the model dropdown, UDP protocol, then enter in the IP address of your WEBIO. Hit the Find button and it will locate your WEBIO device. Press OK. It will fill in the description fields, which is the name of your WEBIO. The next step is to enter in the password in order to log into the WEBIO and select how many units are linked to this particular WEBIO unit. Once that is complete, hit the Apply button and then OK. The WEBIO will now be listed on the Zonewatch software, but it will be grayed out. This indicates you cannot access the WebIO as yet, as you need to create a user profile in order to log into this particular unit. Go to the Security tab and select Group. For this particular group, we're going to leave it as default. However, in the default folder, there is no WebIO associated to it as yet. Hit the Add Zone button and then place a check mark to add the WebIO into that particular folder. Next step is to click on the User tab. The User tab allows you to create a new user for the Zonewatch software. For this particular example, we're going to leave admin as our default user here. The admin user does have full access to this particular zone. Hit the OK button. You will now see the WebIO has turned to a black text. This indicates that the WebIO can now be accessed by the user. However, before we are able to verify our system here, we have to link this particular WebIO to the schedule that we had just created. Go to Settings, System, click on the WebIO that you had created, edit your zone, and then select your schedule that you have created. We have now linked the WebIO to the schedule that we have created. Finally, we will have to download the schedule to the WebIO unit here. Highlight your WebIO unit, right-click, and then select Download Schedule to Field Device. Select the schedule that you would like to download to your device and hit Open. This will automatically download the schedule to your zone system here. In order to verify your zone operation, highlight your WebIO and click the Verify All button. The Verify All has returned the information as to what is currently happening with our zone system here. We currently have 3 of 3 units online, and all of our beacons are currently off at the moment. In the bottom right-hand corner, it shows your particular zone here. Under the name, it will list your master along with the remotes that you have for that particular zone, as well as the status. And finally, the icons here indicate whether or not your beacons are currently on or off. Dark green will indicate that your beacons are off. Bright green will indicate that your beacons are on. In order to show the difference, we will just force our system to be turned on. Go to Force On. Select the zone you would like to turn on. The Apply button. Hit Yes, and then verify your zone. In the bottom right hand corner, you can see that our beacons are now turned on to a bright green color, as well as our system here has been turned to an orange to indicate that we are in an override status. We'll just hit Resume All to revert back to our previous schedule, then hit Verify All to show the status again. This now completes your Zonewatch setup. If you'd like to learn more, please visit us at www.encomwireless.com. Thank you.